It is Kofi and AJ. What's up, guys? AJ, how are you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Kof?
Can't complain, man. Can't
Good,
complain.
good.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Same.
So
So
yeah.
first, we're gonna kick it off with the intros.
Oh yeah. Yeah, guys. What's up? My name is Kofi. Father of a 2-year-old or almost 2 years old. Daytime developer. Husband. And just living life and trying to learn and grow and become a better person. Yeah. How about
Okay.
how about yourself?
Hey, I'm not that special. No kids. AJ, electrical engineer in power systems industry. Also in grad school for my PhD in electrical engineering.
Whoop whoop.
So yeah, I'm just a regular, degular dude, just taking taking a chance and trying to flex some creativity muscles because we get caught up in the day to day of life of working and doing other things, but we don't sit down and try to flex my creativity. At least myself, not speaking for everybody, but yeah, this is just one of those chances where you just take a chance and just put something out, and you're just better for it. It doesn't really have to do much. It's just the fact that you went through the process. You just become better at the end of it. And I'm here with my man Kofi. We've known each other for how long?
Man, this has been probably over 10 years because
Yeah, definitely over 10 years.
it's crazy to think.
Probably about 14 going on 15ish.
Whew, we
Since
getting
like
old.
college, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting old.
Back in those computer science days.
Oh, yeah.
At George Mason.
Do you want to talk on that? Just, give a background on how
yeah.
you met?
Yeah. Dang, that's crazy. I feel like I would just see you walking around like on the way to class, and I don't know how we just. Do you remember them like how we got to know each other?
So I know the first time I met you is probably when I met some of the other guys because from Nesby. It was like on the Skyline basketball court at George Mason.
Yeah.
And the reason why I started to get involved with Nesby, which y'all were already involved with, because my first year at Mason, I wasn't in Nesby. I don't think. Maybe I don't know. I don't think my first year I was, but I had a friend who was telling me, "Oh, you're a computer science major. They have Nesby. There's not that many black people on campus, especially not in that field. So they suggested that I get involved. And I think I met y'all on that basketball court. Probably I was with somebody else before, so I knew your faces and names. But then once I started getting into Nesby, that's when everybody just started clicking and hanging out, going to parties or playing video games. A lot of video games.
Call of Duty.
A lot of Call of Duty, a lot of
Call of
2K.
Yeah.
Professional 2K player back in those days.
I'm not gonna lie. That's when I learned that there were levels because you come up in your household. And if you dominate your gaming system, you think you're nice, and then you
Yeah.
you leave that pond and get thrown into the ocean. And AJ is definitely one of those in Call of Duty.
Was.
I would say still is. He's good enough to where if he picked it up.
Enough, I don't play those games like that no more. I played them so much I can anticipate the animation that was going to happen when I pressed the button. That's how you know I was playing too much because I wasn't doing enough homework. And then my roommate, then he eventually became your roommate. He was on a whole nother level in Call of Duty. So
man.
I didn't even know what is it, no scope kills?
Yeah,
Called was like at that point in time. I think it was called like a hack or like a cheat, like the no scope. He was doing that.
Oh my goodness!
One shot kill, and he was talking junk, and he was always quiet, never the nicest guy ever. But when he got into Call of Duty,
it's different.
Oh my goodness, he headshot you from across the map, saying, "Yep,
Yep."
Like okay, I'm like I respect it. Like okay, he got some fire to him. Okay,
and my tea kettle was my head turned into a tea kettle.
Kobe get mad, man.
I was getting mad. I'm like, I don't know this guy, and he's embarrassing me in front of the whole.
And he talking to you about it. Yep.
Yo, it was filthy, but yeah, he was one of the nicest guys. That was a funny introduction. Man, good old days, man. Dang, 14 to 15 years later, here we are.
You a kid in. maybe maybe there's another one there. You deep in it now.
Oh yeah, we definitely. Wait, you said a what?
Oh no, you said 14, 15 years later. Like we're older. You already have a kid in this world. Like things is drastically different. Like those days.
Yeah.
What do we have really other than like school was like the main stressor, especially like trying to make it in computer science. But like really it's like, oh, let's go to Johnson Center for some food, or like it's just like more simpler times. You had less worries, and you had to, I had a job, then I was working full time, but like most of the part you just socializing and just trying to make it,
bro,
trying to find yourself.
Yep, it's literally an RPG adventure. Like,
yep.
Depending on how you came up and you find yourself on this campus, you're socializing, you're all trying to pass your classes, and you're all, building the relationships that will, hopefully last for the rest of your life.
Most of them didn't.
Yeah, a lot didn't. And that's definitely something I want to explore, too. Like, categorization of friendships, acquaintances, and it's all this while you're still a child, pretty much.
Yeah. You think you're an adult. I thought I was an adult. I thought I was an adult when I was like 16, 17, but
right. It's a huge difference when you get into the real world.
Yeah. So before we get into the topics, we can do a quick check-in, just how the week's going for you, or like how you feel right now.
Oh man, yeah. Feel great, man. Let's see. Yeah, work is work, and again, that's why we're here to kind of invest time in something outside of work, just in terms of taking on endeavors. But yeah, work is cool, man. Daughter's good. She's not sick. Wife is good. It's nice to have you over, because, when you have kids, it can be a little bit isolating depending on how your community is set up. So it's nice to have friends over and chill and be able to do all that simultaneously. How about yourself?
Same work. Work is work. Work is, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I recently transferred into a new team, so I'm still trying to find my path on this team.
Yeah. Of
like highly specialized and experienced minds compared to my limited experience in the actual utility business. Because I have a lot of experience in the power industry, but most of it is coming from the Navy. So now it's slightly different now that I'm talking about utility world. But yeah, that's that. School, second week of school, so got classes going as well.
Getting that PhD.
Yeah, and then you got all this news going on. So this week hasn't been a great week for sleep and peace of mind, but I'm making myself way through it. Work myself through it. Nothing you can't get through.
Oh, for sure. And you're right. Yeah, this has been a pretty turbulent week in terms of the headlines, from presidential actions to calamities being caused and quick concession of each other. Or, did I say that right? I said that wrong.
You said quick concession?
I said concession, not concession. It rhymes with what I'm trying to say. But basically one after the other,
Succession, quick
succession.
Yeah, I got
Pardon
you.
me.
I'm there for you, Kofi.
I gotta edit that part out.
No,
we gotta keep it in. It is what it is. We gonna keep it.
We gonna keep it raw here.
Yeah.
But so we will touch on that a little bit. I wanted to say that for the end because it's just gonna probably like take all my energy up talking about what's going on with the administration and stuff that's going on in the news.
Yeah, sure.
Even the events that happened not too far from here. We're in Alexandria, and
right.
Like I said, the administration for last. But the first one I have, and I put on a list, just for whoever's listening, we kind of organize in our episodes. Like we submit topics that we feel like we want to speak on. So he has a list and I have a list. So we kind of organize it that way. Maybe in the future we can, get some feedback from our one or two listeners or however this ends, and then we can integrate that. But that's where we're at right now. So the first topic I wanted to touch on was my boy ASAP Rocky. He is currently on trial for discharging of a firearm and assault stemming from I want to say his 2021 incident somewhere like that in Beverly Hills, against another ASAP Rocky former, I guess you would say former ASAP Rocky member, Rolly or Relly. Have you heard anything about this?
Yeah, I kind of briefly took a look. I heard something was going on, but I guess I'm not too hip to the situation.
Okay.
But I guess, was the underlying thing an issue regarding Rihanna? Or, because there was something,
I didn't hear about the Rihanna being involved potentially. So
maybe that's
just before we get into, let's talk about the actual incident that's at hand.
Yeah, sure.
Apparently this was caught on surveillance videos too. So it shows that ASAP Rocky and ASAP Rally got into an altercation, and I think that they're saying, the prosecution is saying, that there's video evidence of him firing shots at Relly in Beverly Hills on a busy street, according to ASAP Relly. Now there has been what's the word for it? Inconsistencies in ASAP Relly's tale of the events over the years. Like, I think recently they asked him, okay, did the gun actually touch your body? He said no, but then they pulled up the interview from 2022 where he's saying, oh, ASAP put the gun in my stomach or something. And then there was another inconsistency. Oh, he said he wasn't mad there. He had no malice against ASAP Rocky before the incident. But then they went through the text message. He's cursing ASAP out. He's threatening to fight him. He's calling him names like, oh, you didn't pay for this funeral or this, that, and the third. So it's clearly showing there was some type of contention there. I did not hear about the Rihanna thing. Did you have more information?
Oh, no, that I don't have a credible source on that. I might have saw a comment or something alluding to that he was flirting with Rihanna, but again, I definitely don't want to present any misinformation. So what's your? I guess my only thoughts is, there's this idea of being tricked out of your spot, and someone who is financially or commercially successful as ASAP Rocky, and even being associated to Rihanna, who might be a billionaire, just having that level of stardom, financial success, commercial success, this idea of being tricked out of your spot. And I guess, what's your take on that in terms of allowing things to happen to you when you have so much
to lose, right?
Yeah.
So, also, I forgot to mention, I think the defense is also saying that it was a prop gun, which is crazy if that's the case.
Yeah, I think I heard that part. Yeah.
That'd be kind of crazy. Like, why would he have a prop gun? And if you can prove that on surveillance it's a prop gun, this should be an open shut case. But I don't know. But back to what your question is. I feel like it's kind of hard with hip hop artists, with certain hip hop artists that have street elements to them, because like they got to where they got to where they are now based off being kind of like street or authentic, and having a clique like an ASAP clique, and having, a presence like an ASAP is a move. And in case people not are familiar with like ASAP Rocky or the ASAP movement, they're rappers from Harlem, New York. It's a collective that they come under, called like the ASAP gang. Rocky has been like the most successful person from it, and you also have ASAP Ferg, who also had some hits, and maybe his album, I don't know if his album was like number one like ASAP Rocky was, but in ASAP Rocky, like Kofi was saying, is married to Rihanna, and they have 2 kids. Yeah. I actually went to the ASAP Rocky concert back in college, but I say when you have that street element, you kind of already set yourself up to maybe being in situations that could trick you out your spot, unless you get to a certain point to where you are everything you're saying. Then you have to remove yourself from those elements, because it's not his first incident with an ASAP member that he allegedly assaulted. So is the ASAP members really there, should be around you? Are they really the best pick around you for you to be successful? It doesn't seem so. So hopefully, because he's had legal situations before, after this, he will see what you're saying. Like, he doesn't want to trick out a spot, and he just separates himself from random street stuff. But it's kind of hard if you are ingrained. That's my thoughts on it. You have anything to add? Are you good on that one?
Yeah, no, I think you are right, and yeah, it just makes you wonder about group dynamics, and if jealousy is involved, and I mean jealousy has a bad stigma, but I think it's a very human thing to want more for yourself and genuinely being happy for others based on certain factors. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, why are you holding a gun? You should have bouncers holding your gun for you. Why are you doing that? I don't understand that. If you the cash cow, why are you pulling the trigger? Like, you should have 50 Cent you should have 50 Cent type security, like ex-cops, special forces. So they should just hold you down, but it's all good. They're very expensive. So moving on, I know we're not gonna stick on this area too much, but I'm a big sports person.
Oh man,
big football person.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna stick on it too long, Kofi, but I just gotta say my piece.
Oh, please do. Please do.
My Philadelphia Eagles, go Birds. We're returning back to the Super Bowl. It's been a while. It's only, it's been 2 years. It's long 2 years since we've been in the Super Bowl. We should have won the first Super Bowl in 2022 against Patrick Mahomes. Unfortunately, Jalen Hurts had that one fumble. Besides that, he outperformed Patrick Mahomes during that Super Bowl, but the Chiefs are very smart. You turn over the ball, they're probably going to win the game because they're not going to make mistakes. But fast forward to this year, is very different. Our team is, in my opinion, and in most people's opinion, superior than them at many levels. If you're talking about the defense, the O-line, the only thing is the quarterback. And the quarterback makes a big difference in football games. So that's why the Chiefs are the betting favorites right now. It's not by many points. I think it's less than the field goal. But it's going to be a good game because the Chiefs are trying to three-peat, which has, I don't think that's ever been, has that ever been done in the NFL? I don't think it's ever been done. I don't know. But it's going to be big news. So I don't think somebody's won the Super Bowl 3 times in a row. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I shout out my Eagles. You got anything you want to say? First of all, who you going for?
Oh, man. I would say may the best man win, honestly. Because I don't know too much. Yeah, so, to be honest, I'm not a huge football fan. I was interested in seeing the Commanders versus Eagles. And just based off proximity, I thought, I like the comeback story, the underdog story that the Commanders are going through. So that was the first game I watched this season because I typically don't watch football. And, I was a little, I don't want to say disappointed. I don't know what goes into, individual performance versus strategies laid out by coaches. But it looked like everybody played their hardest. The turnovers kind of hurt, and I feel for the Commanders fans, but I'm happy for the Eagles fans. They did their thing, and I just hope it's a great game, and I'm curious to see what songs will be performed during halftime.
Oh yeah, we didn't. Yeah. Shout out to Kendrick.
Shout out to Kendrick, man.
I think they listed some of the special guests. SZA.
Oh yeah.
Did. I didn't look at it, but I heard Ab-Soul did like a cryptic message about the halftime performance. Oh. But I know he's not coming out. There's no way he's. You don't think so? What is he gonna come out and perform?
Hey man.
No, I'm not hating on Ab-Soul.
Shout out to Ab-Soul.
But yeah. And then while we're still on the sports news, just a little different. I guess different side of the sports, the dark side.
Yeah.
One of the greatest kickers in NFL history, Justin Tucker from the Ravens, been on a bad streak. Maybe we know why he's been on a bad streak this year. Because this when it gets out to the public, it's probably was already been floating around underneath, and blackmail money was being asked for in exchange to not release this. So I'm pretty sure that's probably why he can't kick a field goal anymore after being the most accurate and one of the strongest arms in NFL history for his entire career. Either way, Justin Tucker has a number of allegations of sexual misconduct while getting massages. I think it might be at a specific massage spot downtown Baltimore. It's not like a scattered area like Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson thought he had a smart strategy. You heard about Deshaun Watson, right?
I think
it's older news.
Yeah.
He would get like Instagram models that were massage. I'm sorry, not necessarily Instagram models, but they're massage therapists that were on Instagram, but they're scattered around. And I guess he would try to get his happy ending there. But Justin Tucker is being accused of similar things. Looking at the article, and this is from like his first 5 years in the league, so it's not anything recent. So this is just coming up now. So I saw one of them said like he would inappropriate touch the inner thigh of the therapist. He left ejaculate on the table. I mean, it's not funny, but it is kind of. But it's a serious misconduct, serious allegations. He's denying it, of course. I don't think it's become a case yet, but it's typically like when people put the news and stuff out to get the public opinion, kind of to make that person, the defendant, look a type of way before they actually proceed with the case. It's like a strategy. Similar like with the Diddy situation. You put out the video, it's a strategy by who's ever going to be prosecuting because you get the court of public opinion already going on your side. So you might see some kind of legal action in the near future.
Yeah, I just saw the article probably a few days ago, and yeah, I know one thing I always was curious about, when people who are affluent or have, higher than standard means of, financial stability or financial means, I wouldn't think they would have to go this route, which is wrong. I would just think they would have access in more ethically good ways. So, I guess I'm not him. I don't know what the psyche of someone like that, would be.
And this is also his first 5 years. So he wasn't, I don't think he wasn't established as Justin Tucker yet. I don't know what kind of contract he had, but he's still making okay money as an NFL kicker. But he also doesn't have the fame and the claim like a bigger star and have the access to unlimited funds like somebody like Deshaun Watson have.
So for kickers don't get paid as much?
Nah. He probably, I can't recall exactly, but I'm pretty sure he might be he is the highest paid kicker in NFL history, but I don't think he was before in the first 5 years for sure.
Okay. I wonder where the highest paid kicker sits in terms of like medium level.
Oh, it's like, going to be at the very low end. So it's like
still.
Put it in perspective.
Yeah.
Like a superstar quarterback makes about 55 to 65 millions per year.
Yeah.
A kicker contract, I don't know exactly, but I feel like they would probably make around 1 to 2 million a year, or somewhere around there. They're very limited in what they give to the team. So it's like based off their importance level to the team is like kind of where you see the average salary go and how replaceable they are. But Justin Tucker is an outlier. He has a higher than normal kicker contract, but it's not that. Don't quote me, but it's not anywhere near like a Deshaun Watson 55 or 60 million per year, and you're getting like $160 million guaranteed over the life of your contract.
Yeah. Yikes, man. Well, Man, hey, if prosecution follows, let the court of law, do as they will. But yeah, I don't know how common it is amongst people in general, statistically speaking, for those type of things. But yeah, that's
So the question is, and you feel free to not to answer it.
Yeah.
Should he have just stuck with a traditional prostitute?
Well, ooh, this is a interesting question for me.
Excuse me, sex worker is the term now, I think.
Yeah, it seems like sex work seems to be,
More acceptable.
nowadays.
Nowadays.
And the safety of the woman or men who are actually, empowering themselves to make those type of transactions. So as long as, I guess, they're safe sexually and mentally, and their transactions are agreed upon both parties, I think it's all good. So I guess the issue is, when you're doing it in places that don't welcome it and that don't abide by some kind of agreement, you're being, a sexual assault, that's, it's not right. So within the correct moral parameters that keep both parties safe, mentally, health-wise, and, sexual health as well.
I agree 100%. All right, moving on. So this is going to be, how do I approach this? Yeah, so let me preface, there's been a trend, or maybe like a trend where certain people,
I like this one right here.
There's a trend where, with YouTube and social media, people can get on there and speak their truths, speak their falsehoods, or speak anything, and potentially gain a following. And it's as long as you say it confidently enough, you can say whatever you want to say, and you might have somebody believe you.
That's
like
facts.
if your eyes, you're not blinking, your eyes ain't moving around, and you can
conviction.
say it confidently, not breaking step, and you're saying words like making them sound good. It really doesn't matter what the content is. Somebody might just believe you.
Yep. Facts.
So what we're referring to specifically is, let's say, for example, I don't know if everybody's heard, but Terrence Howard, the actor Terrence Howard, Hustle and Flow.
Come on, man.
He was in First Iron Man. He's been in a lot of stuff, a lot of black movies. But he is now trying to be Socrates, Aristotle, and all these philosophers, and Da Vinci, all these great Einstein, all these great minds,
right,
without the education part of it.
Right.
And he's saying stuff like 1 × 1 = 2.
Yeah.
And he's talking about astrophysics and mathematics and all types of high level STEM related topics. But he also, we're not specifically talking about him at this point in time, but he has a person that is friends with him and also has a platform, and they go on each other's channel. This guy named Billy Carson,
Yep.
Who's, I really don't know how to explain him. He's a self-proclaimed, what's that? I don't even know what that field is specifically called. Not really archaeologist, but he researches ancient cultures and civilizations, religions, and
conspiracies,
and he's
consciousness.
Says like, okay, the Bible's not right because it doesn't follow this document. Blase, blase. So these are self-proclaimed specialists and minds that have garnered a substantial following at that. And then once again, we also wrote in Lord Jamar. So if people don't know who Lord Jamar is, he was part of a older rap group called Brand Nubian. He's considered a hip hop legend. And their group was like early 90s, I want to say.
Yeah.
He also was, I think he's a good actor. From when I saw him on Oz, the HBO jail TV show.
Oz.
So yeah, Oz, he's a great actor. but now he is a flat earther,
Right.
and he's what's it what's the black group the
the 5 percenters.
I mean, he's a 5% too. What's the group that's mad at Math Hoffa?
Oh, FBA, Foundational Black
Africans, right? Or Black Americans,
yep.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So recently, Billy Carson and Terrence Howard accepted debates with actual specialists, people that did some of the education and done experiments in their respective field. The guy that Billy Carson debated, I forgot his name. He is a PhD student currently, and he has work, and he's actively working in the field, like deciphering old tablets and old documents and going through different cultures, but he's actually putting in the work for it. They did a debate. It obviously went how everybody expected. Billy Carson got embarrassed, so now he's tried to show up at his house at 3 a.m. to tell him not to put it on YouTube.
Right.
He's sending cease and desist letters to him to not release the footage on YouTube. Then Lord Jamar was on the Godfrey show, the comedian Godfrey show, and he, for some reason, he accepted a flat earth debate with a guy named Professor Dave.
Yep.
He's pretty much devoted. Well, his channel is also devoted with teaching all these topics.
Right.
But the debate also went as you expected. Only Professor Dave was a lot more disrespectful with it, and clearly embarrassed him.
Yeah.
So now Lamar has a bunch of excuses saying, "I was drugged during this debate. I was set up." And I don't know if he's taking legal actions, but I think he might have threatened to take legal actions.
Yeah.
So that's where we at with that. So my question is, excuse me, since people feel like this is first of all, do we know if these people to me, I know my opinion, do you feel like they actually believe what they're pushing out? Those 3 people that I just mentioned.
I have no idea, man, because like you said earlier, with some of these guys, there's so much conviction, and you wonder, are they really enthralled in their beliefs and feeling like this is really true, or are they talented grifters and actors, right? And it's diabolical because your average person isn't going to find that kind of information relevant in their day-to-day. Like, I'm doing development, AJ, I know you're doing things with power systems. Like, we're not thinking about certain physics, like physics basics, or how gravity is impacted by, the mass of the earth and then the moon, and how that impacts the tides, high tide. Like, those kind of details are lost on us. So when we're not familiar with what they're saying, it makes us susceptible to believing that maybe there is some kind of new frontier of knowledge that we've been missing. So to answer your question, man, I have no idea. But based on the way Professor Dave broke down some of those videos, that would lead me to believe there's no way they believe some of the things they're saying.
Yeah.
Just like the number of inconsistencies when you break down the actual terminology they use is so high, it's almost like poetry. I'm going to, and respect to poetry, but you use certain words that can be ambiguous, or you'll say certain phrases that aren't literal, that makes you create this own image in your mind, right? And that word salad gets people thinking, well, they know, they're clearly well read, and I was one of them. I'm a lot more naive in my nature, so I tend to believe things, which I'm working on. My wife is helping me work on that. And I definitely thought, oh wow, Terrence Howard is saying some interesting things. When I saw the breakdown video of Professor Dave's analysis on it, he was able to disprove everything he said, and he has backup to show it. So it's sort of irrefutable. Yeah. So what's your take on it?
Without getting too deep in the details if these are frauds or not, I think the best evidence for me is just the reaction, not necessarily Terrence Howard, because he wasn't in the debate, but he was in that Q&A session with Oxford. Just the reaction when you have somebody pushing back against what you're saying,
right,
to try to either come to like, okay, you present this fact, here's a counter argument. When I see somebody respond to that, that's what lets me know if you really believe it or if it's real or not, because you're taking legal actions. You're talking about somebody drugging you with the weed that he was smoking as well. You're making excuses.
Yeah.
So just the actions afterwards let me know that like they're probably grifters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Terrence Howard had similar, and then they always kind of like, along with these philosophies that they're pushing, it's always around anti-establishment, like which people are always, especially people in the black community,
right,
are already kind of geared to try to accept based off what this, like specifically the government, some of their actions in the past and some of the stuff that we see that's going on now.
Right now.
So if you see an alternate, like, oh, this is anti-establishment. This is what they. When they use they, these is what they don't want you to hear.
Right.
They don't want you to do the math right, so they put in that phrase. So they're trying to ignite something other than a logical rationale from a person. It's trying to get an emotional response for a logical concept that they're presenting.
Right.
There should nothing to be emotional about if the Earth is round or flat, because it's physics.
Right.
There's nothing emotional about if 1 times 1 is 2.
Right. It just is. Yeah.
So that's my take on it.
Yeah. Man, if you haven't seen that video, I recommend it. It's diabolical.
I went on a deep dive of a lot of Professor Dave videos because I also wanted to see if he's legit too. So he had other debates with a PhD actual professor at one of the universities. Mm-hmm. He had a whole debate with him, and so he went
into the weeds. He's legit. Yeah. And I mean, we're talking math concepts from 1 + 1 to linear algebra, differential equations, calculus,
evolutionary biology. Yep, like that's the debate with that instructor, the professor college professor he had. That was interesting.
Right.
Yeah. So we're gonna skip that one topic I have, so you can.
Oh, for the end.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna save my energy for that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Pardon self. Yeah, one topic. I mean, I don't know how relevant it is now because things happen so fast in the world that we live in. But around the time that the fires on the West Coast were occurring, I kind of pondered just where we are as a society in terms of technology or technological advancement. And it just made me think, like, what kind of widespread tech are we using to prevent natural disasters? Obviously, there's probably not an answer. It might be very implausible. But just kind of knowing the wealth of knowledge that individuals have and how much they understand with science, I always wondered if more focus should be put into things like that. Like, okay, you have a massive fire. How can we approach this problem in terms of available technology and resources to kind of counteract it? And I was talking about this with my wife too, and yeah, it's like Mother Nature can be very devastating. Mm-hmm. So how can we take our resources and what we have and what we know to prevent, natural disasters like that?
That's a great question. And I feel like I can speak to, so one of the as common culprits of some of the wildfires out west, I'm not going to say this one, is the power lines. Like if you have a fault. So when I say power lines, I'm talking about the electrical poles that you'll see driving down, like where you get electricity from to your house and to your job. So when you have, when you have a fault, a fault is pretty much current. The electrical current is flowing somewhere it's not supposed to be. Okay. So it could be due to a tree falling on it. It could be to some type of disturbance on the electrical grid, but that fault can cause a spark. So if you're in a certain season, you have dry ground underneath, that spark will start a fire, and then the fire just balloons out. So specifically in that aspect, on the and since we're in Virginia, we don't have as much of a priority on preventing, you know, wildfires or sparks from our electric. We don't have that priority because we don't have that much. We don't have the same issue that, you know, California or even Hawaii has, because Hawaii also had that fire last year. I think it was last year, and that was caused by the power line as well. But as far as technologies, they've been developing technologies to detect falling conductor. Like, so when I say conductor, that's the wire on the electrical pole that carries the actual current or electricity.
Okay. Yeah.
So they have technology where if that conductor falls off, it will de-energize the line or turn the power off on that line. So it wouldn't start a fire.
Okay.
And then also stuff that we put on the line is protective devices. So if we have them set so if they detect a fault, they operate faster, or they detect it super fast, you can prevent the extra sparks going on and it exacerbating into a fire. So those are some of the technologies I can speak from the power system mind frame, as far as to not have a spark start the fire. Because once the fire starts, just based off, like you're saying, Mother Nature, how that terrain is and what the season is, the wind, you really can't stop it from ballooning out once it starts. So like the key is to stop that spark. That could also be from somebody throwing out a cigarette. So it's not always the power line.
Right. Yo, that is super dope to know. What's your I guess we got about a minute left on this topic, but I was always curious about things like tornadoes and twisters. Like, I wonder what an equivalent preventative measure would be outside of like shelters and basically things to keep humans safe. Is there any infrastructure things in regards to, you know, electric power and those kind of natural disasters?
You're talking about as far as maintaining electrical power during like a tornado,
or
because Oh no, go ahead.
No, I guess even if not just from a power perspective, but just from a safety perspective.
Okay, I mean, you have, like you said, shelters, but like stuff like that, tornadoes, they're gonna randomly happen just based off how the earth is. Like I don't, you can't really prevent it from happening.
Right.
Once it's happened, you can try to make your buildings more sturdy. You can upgrade, because most buildings have like a code.
Right.
So you can maybe make the code a little bit stricter on the materials used for a building.
Right.
But that also is going to be more expensive. So it's always the give and take between what's reasonably safe with the probability percentage. So you do like a calculation for most stuff, is like, what's the probability of an event to happen? What's the risk of it? If the probability is so small, even though the risk is high, it's like you're not going to waste resources to, you know, retrofit that for a tornado, like or whatever the natural disaster is. Like, you know, like if we had a building and it's rated for a cyclone or something like that. If we're in Virginia, we don't get those.
Right.
But if we did get one, it would probably be drastic. But does it make sense with the sense, like with the money?
Right. Because we do have limited.
So you got to
resources.
pick and choose. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Yeah. So this is a big one. We'll transition to kind of still on the topic of technology, but now we're going to virtual technology. Just wanted to know sort of your take on AI, and you know, as we have these things like Gemini, ChatGPT, and now the recent one that's in China. I forgot what it's called. DeepSeek. DeepSeek. Yeah, DeepSeeker. Yeah, I know we kind of have some different views, but yeah, kind of what's your take on AI as a whole?
You're a funny dude. Why you want my take? You know, I
Oh,
don't.
you want me to go into it first?
Nah, it's cool.
Oh,
Nah,
okay.
nah.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I don't mess with AI.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm joking. So I feel like, not saying like I'm a paranoid, like, oh, like a doomsday kind of like, oh no, this is gonna be the devil, and it's gonna be the end all, or this is gonna be the end day. But like with AI, I personally, in general, I don't trust humans based off their nature with technology as advanced as AI is, as far as protecting ourselves from ourselves, like protecting our jobs, or protecting our common knowledge, or protecting skills that we built up without it, to be able to continue to keep our minds fresh, and, you know, be not totally rely on a model, a machine learning model to do these menial tasks, and then it just catapults to doing other stuff, and we just lose our, you know, our knowledge, and because we rely on this. And then, I mean, from an industry perspective, you can already see we're losing our mind as far as like who's gonna lead, what company is going to lead us into AI, and who's allowed to release, who's allowed to get chips, depending on if they're their country. The stock market is going crazy, so we're already showing that we aren't mature as far as like the business aspect of it. Right, so the application of it is just going to snowball. Like, what's going to prevent a company for laying off thousands of workers if you can develop a smart enough AI to do the same thing?
Right.
Especially not in the United States. Like, I would have, in other countries, I'd have more faith based off like my experience in those countries, like Japan. When you have Uber and Lyft,
yeah,
they prevented that from wiping out a major job source of like taxi cabs. They protected their taxi cabs, where Uber is through you're Ubering a taxi cab.
Right.
So you keep that workforce, where in America, like Uber and Lyft, okay, displaced the taxi cabs. You know, it is what it is.
Oh, yes, they did.
Capitalism.
Absolutely.
Now Uber and Lyft, like,
right, dominate. Yeah.
But you don't look. Not saying I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but you can see there's a thought process. Like, this is cultural altering technology, and that's what AI is. So I don't feel like they're going to protect us, or we're not going to protect us. Is if it's more efficient at a lesser cost, do it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you know, I kind of agree with you. I mean, granted, I am an avid user of AI. One of my favorite applications is cooking with it, because it's created a confidence in me to be more proactive in coming up with certain, you know, dishes based off the ingredients I have available. Granted, I think I put too much emphasis and importance on it when understanding how it works, you know, in terms of it's just ingesting all this information and kind of, you know, giving it back to you. But the way it's presented, you might think it's meticulously arranging it or customizing it to you. So I think I have developed a dependency on it, and I'm looking at it from an individual perspective. But you bring up a very good point. And even when you were describing your viewpoint, I almost see America as, you know, it's the land of the free, quote unquote, highly individualistic, right? So I feel like AI is not necessarily transforming that into a negative situation. It's, how can I articulate it? It's more so enhancing what we've already been doing this whole time, because we already cut profits. Half of the food we eat isn't even real, and they're fine with that. I remember seeing documentaries on HBO about, I think specifically baby powder, where it had talc. I could be wrong. But there were things that were known to cause cancer. But from a company perspective, it still brought in so much profit. There didn't seem to be a moral dilemma in like, hey, we're selling things that can kill people. Nobody cared, right? So then adding AI to that is for sure like giving us a knife that we're gonna. So yeah, I think in the big picture, but in the big picture, it's gonna be damaging. But I guess my whole thing is, I still want to utilize it to enhance my life on an individual level because so many people are already using it. And I feel like if I refuse to use it from an idealistic perspective, other people are still going to use it. So that's where I kind of struggle with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I still have to use it at work.
Yeah.
And now, like even doing Google search, it'll automatically pop up, even though I try to scroll past that.
It's right
but it's like, and it's inevitable that you're going to come across some type of machine learning application, which machine learning is AI. There's different levels of AI.
Yeah.
And then also, I devoted time to learn about AI because I knew it was going to be a hot topic. So that's part of my focus of my MBA was business data analytics and building some of these models.
Yeah.
And then I feel like in my PhD dissertation, I'm still going to have to, integrate some machine learning because that's just where the technology is.
Right.
So I personally can't really get away from it, but that's my view. I do want to understand it though. I want to make sure I understand it.
Yeah, but you bring up a really good point. I think on the advent of it, when even the first ChatGPT models were coming out, I did wonder, like, okay, this thing can develop code. From a software developer standpoint, you might read a lot of books or take a few years to understand things like clean code organization, code optimization, how you write your methods, how you communicate to other developers based on how you code, right? And the instantaneous feedback you can get to even structure it or to solve a problem, to say, hey, I need this to be, even outside of coding or just if you're doing, like you said, like data, I need you to process all of this. It can replace and will and already has replaced people. I felt like I didn't really need like a financial wealth advisor because I could just ask ChatGPT to tell me which index funds to assess. So I do wonder from the United States perspective, if this becomes a risk for jobs, how would we ensure that people can still make a living? Because capitalism and that just doesn't really vibe well for that.
I mean, we can kind of guess what this administration would do with it.
Yeah,
because really it boils down, what you got to look at is what type of regulations are being placed for ethic regulations for AI.
Right.
And we just saw that this administration invested $500 billion, and I think it was more trending towards unregulated AI to AI, the industry. And then so and like I said, the business is already not being ethical with AI. So with DeepSeek,
I want to say it's DeepSeek. Let me take a look.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see, there's a country clash there. Like, we already had these sanctions in place to prevent China from getting chips, but the owner of the startup had a stockpile of like NVIDIA chips. So now there's the whole, are they using illegal chips type stuff? So they're trying to kill that. So U.S. can be the leader in AI. So it's already like a little mini AI business war going on right now.
Right. And if I'm not, I'm not the most technical person, so take what I say with a grain of salt and do your own research. I'll always say that. But I think I read somewhere that the underlying algorithm in terms of how it processes data over its hardware resources, it's like it uses like a small amount of resources to reach a certain conclusion, as opposed to how ChatGPT and Gemini operate. Because I know there was that whole thing of how is it using vastly less software, but it's still at the same level or not. And you had mentioned,
I forgot the term of that learning, but I know what you're talking about. I can't remember. It's a type of learning it does where it only activates when the applicable areas of a model, of the machine learning model.
Right.
So it's not using this whole algorithm or the model every single time it's doing a query.
Right.
So by the fact that you're not using all that processing all of the model, you cut back on energy usage for the AIs, which is a big thing.
It's huge.
And I mean, this can just snowball into a bunch of topics. I don't want
to.
But just real quick.
Yeah. Please.
A major thing with AI and all this technology is the data centers that are going to house this technology. They are a huge load on the electrical load on our electrical grid.
No, please talk on this because you have a good perspective.
We are in Virginia. We have the biggest aggregated data center area in Northern Virginia in the world. Like they call it Data Center Alley. So that's a huge load, that electrical load on the electrical grid. I'm trying to make sure I use common terms to make sure we understand.
But you also letting them know that you are in the weeds. Yeah.
It's a huge industry problem. So with all that electrical load that's being requested from data centers, you need all this electrical generation to power it. Right. And then at the same time, we're going green. Well, that might stop as well with the administration, because now looks like we're trending more towards back fossil fuels, so natural gas and stuff like that, when we're trying to go renewable energies like solar farms, wind farms, and stuff like that. But Northern Virginia, it's the load projection is so high, and then it was being projected higher because of AI. But when you have those, so that's why you saw the stock market. They had some companies that created electrical generation that their stock plummeted just because of the fact that the DeepSeek. I'm sorry, I keep messing up. The DeepSeek chip was so much electrically efficient. It uses so much less electricity, so they thinking, we won't. That company is not going to make as much electrical generation. That's how overreacted the stock market is. Like they were like, okay, these are so efficient. Yeah, you might not have all that load that you projected for the data center, so you need less electrical generation. So that's what I thought was also interesting about the whole back and forth. Like they took it, the people buying stock, or the people buying stock took it to the point of the electrical generation. Right. So so that would be, if you have more efficient chips, less load for the data, less electrical load needed for the data center.
Yo, that's and I'll end it on this point. Like, what you're saying is such an interesting perspective, because I guess from a consumer perspective, everything is getting more efficient in terms of CPU resources, or we're going to deploy this using AWS so that you don't have to use resources. But from the United States infrastructure energy, that's not being taken into consideration. That's not trending in the same overall efficiency increase as that. So that's I appreciate your
it has a huge effect on climate change control, because that's a major source of emissions from these generations. So it's a huge topic. It's a whole episode and a half, but
and I'm gonna have to dedicate an episode to picking your brain on some of this stuff, because it's intriguing. I don't think it's as commonly, at least not to me. So thank you for your thoughts on that. We're gonna take a whole 360 for the next topic, and I might I think we know our viewpoints here, but this is more on the social side. Children, having kids. Some of us are pressured to have it. Some of us, long story short, what is the why? As someone at the park said earlier, what is your why for having kids? And I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a discussion around it, because I think in terms of the stages of our life, that becomes the next natural order, even outside of humans, right? Like, we procreate to keep evolving. That's always been the way things are. But with humans having this extra level of consciousness, we can discern whether we find it relevant based on our own conditions. Do we need to have kids or not? And so, yeah, I just wanted to take, to hear your take on it, and then I'll kind of do my take on it as well.
So, do you want my
it doesn't have to be personal.
Scientific thought on if we need to have kids or because if we're talking about from like a logic sense, as far as Earth population, and maybe this is I just want to this is just a different side, like because I look at stuff at different perspectives,
which is great.
Logically, do we need to have kids? Would that make the Earth greater to have more humans on this Earth, on this planet?
Depends on who bears them.
Would you say that resources in some areas they're already overpopulated, right?
Right.
Granted, we're lucky in the United States, especially specifically in Virginia. There's a lot of land and stuff, but I've seen documentaries and stuff saying like humans in the cycle of life could be considered parasites to the Earth itself, to the naturalness of Earth.
Right.
So from a scientific, logical stance, I don't think humans need to have kids. Now, I think there's enough kids being made to cover evolution if we're still on that the next evolution cycle or not. Somebody definitely had more than enough kids to compensate if I don't have a kid. Now putting that logical stuff aside, for myself, it's like what you said. It would depend on the individual person's why. We're like you said, we're past the phase where it's a tradition. You got to do it. You don't think about it because there's so many viewpoints in globalization.
Right.
We see different cultures, and we see there are some cultures that have a bunch of kids all the time. And there's some people that don't have kids. And they have a full life, right? For myself, I'm not at a stage where I absolutely need to have a kid, especially not right now.
Right.
And it's not just based off because of like the time that I have available, which that if I were to have a kid, that'd be something that I'd have to be mindful because I would want to be pretty active in the kid's life,
right?
And watch it grow and fertilize it like you do with your child. You can edit that out.
Yeah, no problem.
But I want to be there. Yeah. But it's not. It does, with everything I'm doing right now, it doesn't fit for me. And then back to the original, I don't know if I really. The why is not saying yes right, the why is not saying yes right now.
Right.
So that's where my stance on it is at. But to each his own.
To each his own, absolutely. No, I appreciate that perspective. I'm definitely one of the parents who's more vocal about saying that the experience of having children has been very difficult, and it's not personal to any of my child at all. It's more so the impact that it has and the changes that you have to take on in terms of your life having a certain trajectory and certain behaviors that you have and the person you need to change into to support a whole nother human being. I think it's a bit understated, but everybody's situation is different. I'm definitely someone who has been guilty of kind of going along with the way things are. Your parents might say, hey, have kids. Then you're asking your friends, hey, when are you going to have kids? And then you see images of family, right? And you're like, dang, I probably should have some kids. Just kind of based off that social ladder that we climb as we get older. You get in a relationship. Okay, now I need to get married. Okay, now I need to have kids.
Right, need to get a house.
You need to get a house. And these things might be contrary to what may actually be good to you on an individual level. So back to the kids thing. I would definitely say I don't think I had a good why for the kids. And I think I kind of jumped the gun to have one. But now that she's here, despite all the complaints, and I'm not just saying this to try to be more positive, it is awesome seeing your child grow and come into themselves and start to talk and have their own personality, there are certain moments that I wouldn't trade for the world. But despite all of that, I do think you need a strong why. And I told, any of my friends who don't have kids, I'm not going to pressure them as much as I did before. I think they have to know where they are in their life and know if it's something that they want. I mean, I'll say, hey, there's good and bad like everything else, but like life, you get used to it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And also when you talking about the pressures, not like you said, not just the kids.
yeah,
It really, like I mean, of course, I was discussing with you earlier. Like I get the when you're gonna have kids and from all angles and stuff like that. But I wouldn't really consider it pressure to myself because I have done the deep dive, and I look and seek why and is it right now, and I'm happy with my decision right now.
right,
So to prevent like falling into those traps, like you say, you need a deep dive. Like if you want kids, if you don't want, you should make an educated decision. Like why do I feel this way? Would I need it, or why do I want it right now? And as long as that I don't feel like you can tell me, because I don't have a kid, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. But
yeah,
it's not necessarily like, oh, I need to get more stable for this, or you have to get all these materialistic ducks in a row to have a kid. It's more of like, do I want to have one? Will I make the sacrifice when I make that? If I do want to have one now, am I willing to make the sacrifice to make it work? Because it's not always going to be a perfect thing that you can just line up with finances and timing things. If you got stuff going on, it's like, if you want to have one, you just got to be ready to work through it, because stuff you can't really anticipate it to pre-plan. Is that, you understand what I'm saying?
I think so. Yeah. Sorry, can you say?
Yeah. So if you decide that you want to have a kid, you shouldn't be held up so much on trying to make sure you're pre-prepared, with everything, because you can't really account for everything that comes along with it.
Yeah, that might have been my mistake. I think I was looking more at lining ducks in a row than the other things, like you said, the why,
okay,
the sacrifice, how it's going to change things versus, because I think I felt like, okay, I'm working, my wife's working, we have our little home, and we don't live extravagantly, so we should be more than capable of raising a kid, because and it was kind of like, well, what else am I doing in the meantime besides working? It felt like the natural next ladder, right, or next step on the ladder for me, but I didn't investigate the why deeply enough.
Got you.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say is like, because like you see evidence. I mean, I'm evidence to myself. Like my mother raised 4 kids at one time,
right,
by herself.
Whew.
And you see
Shout
other
out to your
families.
mom.
Not saying like you should just, but we can potentially overestimate what is required to start a family. We talking about 1 kid.
Right.
Granted, you don't want to try to test it, but I feel like it should be more hung up on the why than trying to get the ducks lined in the road. That's just, and I'm on the outside looking in. That's just my opinion on it.
For being on the inside looking out, because I do be looking out. No, I'm just kidding. I would agree. I agree wholeheartedly, man. I agree wholeheartedly. And in some families, they might define your purpose, right? Like, I won't say specifically who, because I don't want to throw nobody I know under the bus. But let's say I know certain family who has children who might say, you need to find somebody, and then you need to have kids because you need to, and that goes into the question of companionship. And you also need to have a why for companionship. You shouldn't put yourself in a relationship just to, like, you have to, but that could be another topic for another day as well. Relationships, that'll be a good one.
For sure.
Yeah. So I think before we get into the last big segment, just in terms of Video games, and we kind of talked about some of this yesterday. Yeah, just give me like a quick top three, no order video games.
No
which
order,
is
okay.
very hard. No order.
I like no order. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't
makes
really
it
order
easier.
your top threes and top fives.
Yeah.
Obviously Grand Theft Auto, but which Grand Theft Auto? I say Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
San Andreas,
And then I
yeah.
say it's by because what age I was when it happened, and how revolutionary it was at the time.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
Oh, I should clarify. I guess
was it?
because actually keep going because I guess the question is like, what would be your favorite then versus what's your favorite now, with all things considered. But I think that encompasses all of that. So yeah, keep going.
so
So I guess
hopefully
San
you don't
Andreas.
use this a chance to bring up Banjo Kazooie.
No, I won't.
I'm not gonna. I'm only gonna judge stuff like that. I'm not gonna say, okay, if I play San Andreas now, it's gonna be a good score. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
based off my lifetime. And it's the same with music. Like,
Yeah.
usually your top five is based off. Oh, I was in high school and Gucci Mane was hot, so Gucci's gonna be on my list, or Wale's gonna be on my list. Now, do I really listen to Gucci Mane now? No, but you can't erase that. So
Right.
going back, Grand Theft Auto for sure.
Yeah, San
I'll just say
Andreas.
the series because even I used to sneak play Vice City when I was in middle school or whenever it came out. I had to sneak it. Like
Yeah.
when my mom would come in the room, turn it off real quick because you had prostitutes, all kind of crazy stuff on it. But yeah, the Grand Theft Auto series, I got to give it up to 2K because at one point I was on 2K hard. Like I said, bro, I used to know animations. I used to take people's money playing 2K.
Yeah.
That was my thing.
Yeah.
And then I'll just say, based off like the experiences like I had with neighborhood friends and my family growing up, I want to say like GoldenEye.
GoldenEye.
I just remember like GoldenEye, like people coming over the house to play GoldenEye. Just being something I looked forward to when I was young.
Yeah.
And then like somebody would come visit, like, and they have kids with them, like we just play GoldenEye, like just that nostalgic feeling. It's kind of hard to erase. So it's just like high on my list, even though it's not the greatest game.
Yeah.
But just to me, I get that feeling from it.
So in a sense, it's like a measure of impact on you,
Yeah, that's what I was
as
saying.
opposed to like
Yeah.
and analyzing story and mechanics and things of that nature.
Like
Okay,
Call
cool.
of Duty is high on the list too, because like in college, it's
Oh
how,
yeah.
how much we played it. Everybody would get together and just play Call of Duty and stuff too. But yeah,
Okay.
what about you?
Okay. But just to recap your list, so yours is San Andreas.
Well, I'll just say Grand Theft
Oh,
Auto
sorry,
in
Grand
general.
Theft Auto.
2K series,
2K.
Grand Theft Auto series, and GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. That's dope. For me, in terms of, like you said, in terms of impact, I would probably say The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, along with Majora's Mask, because there's
That's tough.
there's something about the vibes in those games, like So that's definitely got to be one of them.
Zelda series, okay.
Zelda series. In terms of multiplayer, I might have to say, because I mean, of course, there was Mario Party, Mario Kart, but when Super Smash Brothers came out on Nintendo 64, I remember I feel like I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and I didn't want to go back to school.
See, you can remember when it dropped. That's how you know. That's how you know it's
Yeah.
an all timer. You can remember it,
Bro.
Like, bro, I remember it was raining outside. Bro. You can remember
Yeah, I remember being like, "Do I want to go back to school?" Or I think I was in school just thinking about Super Smash Bros. Like, I just forget all this. I want to go home and play. But I had to sneak it too because I don't think we're allowed to play video games during the week.
Oh man, I don't know how you would got through.
Yeah. So Legend of Zelda series, Super Smash Bros. I might have to say Red Dead Redemption, man.
Okay.
Because I in terms of RPGs, I haven't played a lot of them, so I didn't have a lot to compare it to. But I really got lost in the world of John Marston in the first one, and then of course the story of the second. But dang, I'm just remembering Last of Us as well, and that was also fire. But I think I'm gonna have to say Red Dead Redemption.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good choices too.
Yeah.
Oh, then just back to touch back on the sneaking video games.
Yeah.
I remember I used to stay up past my. This is funny. I used to stay up past my bedtime
Yeah.
playing video games, and my dad would come home from work. He does like shift work. He'd be coming back from like a night shift or whatever. Or no, I'm sorry, like a late shift. And then I see his lights pulling in. I used to throw the sheets over the TV and the game, like, and make it like pitch black dark and just wait. Because as soon as he, you map your parents' movements,
Oh, yeah,
when they
yeah.
out for the count. 'Cause
Yeah.
as soon as his head hit the bed, he gonna be out, and I just go right back to playing. That was
that's funny.
that's when life was simple. Like the
Life was
hardest thing
simple,
you had to worry about was like, how am I gonna get more time playing basketball or playing video games?
Right.
How am I going to wrestle the control of the TV for my sister so I can watch a basketball NBA game or something?
Facts. Yeah.
Those are the hardest things in life, bro.
Yeah. And then with the Nintendo 64, if you didn't have the Rumble Pack controller,
Oh, my goodness.
it wouldn't save. So
Yeah.
I remember playing Toy Story, and I had to keep that joint on for like a day. So I'm like, I'm not doing this again. Like, I'm not doing these levels from the beginning. And if your parents shut it off, that was it, man.
Oh, I have no, man.
No, go
We
ahead.
extended this out. This is
Yeah,
one last
right.
story.
Yeah,
I'm
please.
sorry.
No, you good. You good.
I had the same issue with the PlayStation. Was it PlayStation 2? Might be PlayStation 2. I didn't have the memory card for it, and for whatever reason, Final Fantasy 7, which is probably one of the greatest Final Fantasies ever.
Yeah.
I was playing that, and those games are long. Like, you have boss battles that last hours. I
Boss
could not
battles
save
that
the
last-
game.
oh.
Yeah, Final Fantasy. Like, it's. You never played a Final Fantasy?
I never played. The closest thing
Oh,
I
man.
played to Final Fantasy was probably
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom
Yeah, you
Hearts.
played that,
And
yeah.
I only played that because my wife grew up playing it.
I could not say you can't save process. You know how long? So when I would go to school, I would put a towel over top of it with the
That's
because like
funny.
my dad is like one of them old school, cut off the lights and don't run the electricity up. So if he's in the house, he's gonna turn anything that has any remote electrical uses going on. Like
Yeah.
but I think at the most I could get 3 or 4 days before overheated from like the towel
Ooh.
covering up the fans
Ooh, about to start a
and it's just cutting off.
Yeah.
But I could never finish the game because I couldn't save it.
Right.
Oh man, it's tragedy.
Yeah. Oh man. Shout out to Final Fantasy too.
Yeah,
All right. I think we got the last topic, man.
the lighthearted stuff is out the way.
Yeah.
Relatively lighthearted stuff.
Yeah.
So what's up with them?
Man, first and foremost, I gotta say I live under a rock. I'm pretty ignorant. That's why I'm trying to do better. But even when paying attention, and I know we probably don't want to get too political. Believe what you believe, but I was a little distraught listening to the president talk about the collision that occurred near Reagan Airport with a helicopter and a plane. He starts to express condolences for the people involved, but then it turns into a topic of diversity inclusion. And I guess I kind of struggled to see the relevancy, and if not the relevancy, just the timing. Focusing on grieving and gathering more information before putting your opinion of what's going on. It seems like a lot of Americans loved it. People who really ride for Trump, to me, it just seemed very irresponsible and insensitive, and the things that you're insinuating. Because where is there evidence of diversity inclusion causing these kind of events? Like what statistical data are you pulling from? What are some examples? So
Yeah.
to make that claim to others who are ignorant, you're planting these ideas in their mind. So someone will subconsciously end up stereotyping or believing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's just even in the same light of when we were talking about like Terrence Howard and Professor Dave, I'm starting to understand the responsibility you have when you're sending, you're putting information and your thoughts out there. Yeah, it's just it's very disheartening, and I'm deeply disappointed. Yeah, what's your thoughts?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
This is the brand. This is on brand for Trump. This is what he ran under. His second is his third campaign, because he beat Hillary, then he lost to Biden. So this is his third campaign. He successfully won that. Right. He ran underneath, calling Kamala a DEI hire, and that they're going to make America great again and get rid of DEI. He ran under cutting government agencies. He ran under tariffs. He ran under these things. So he told us all these things.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised, but it is, like you're saying, kind of a little jarring that, okay, you won the campaign, but you are still talking about Biden. You're still acting like you're in a campaign. Like you can clear it. What's very dangerous about this time around is that hopefully right now, legally, this is his last term as a president.
Right.
So he doesn't have to do another campaign where he has to toe lines.
Right.
Or, have to I got to keep this group of people in the mix because I need to win the next term. This is the last term. As of right now, if he makes changes to it, I have faith in how the government's set up, that there's some checks and balances, but who knows at this point.
Right.
But he is going to be unapologetic himself more than the last term, and he's going to push his agenda way more, and you're seeing the results. He's saying whatever he wants.
Right.
Which he kind of already did, but he was a little bit more tame with it. Now you're still calling out Biden like you're in a campaign with him.
Yeah.
You're
Biden somewhere sleeping.
Right, taking a good OG nap.
Yeah, OG nap.
Leg kicked up, got the recliner all the way back.
Right.
So it's on brand for him, and it's really hard to watch the news right now. I try to stay informed, but it's like when stuff like this is going on, I just can't keep looking at it and getting my emotions into it and messing up my day to day. But I still have to keep watching to make sure I see what's going on, and I don't even think it was like 12 hours after the crash before he said this stuff. So he doesn't give a fuck.
Right.
Like, we're still actively recovering bodies, and he's already using it as a pawn to push his DEI agenda.
Right.
With and he says, I don't know, but we can say that's what he always does. Like, well, I'm not saying this, but the same what they're saying to eating the cats. Like, well, I don't know, but we could be this.
Right.
We're actively pulling bodies from the water.
Right.
I don't even think they had the black box yet.
Right.
He said he has no evidence, and he's using it.
Right.
So it's just very frustrating, and I just hope, and typically a good result of this is that people get more active in politics, and there's a counter resistance to this from the people.
Right.
Hopefully that's a good thing we can get out this administration, is people wake up.
Right.
Because people are acting shocked like they didn't know he was going to lay government workers off, or he was going to get rid of DEI, remove stuff like this. They're acting like this is big news to him, or he's going to do tariffs that might make the stuff that they say Biden was doing. Biden was making the economy and groceries super high. He's probably going to do the same thing, because that's the only thing I can remember, and I watched his speeches during the campaign just so I could be informed, that I recall he's saying he was going to do outright is tariffs. That was his economy plan. So I don't know why people are acting shocked.
Right.
And outraged like this wasn't already on the agenda. he has Elon Musk.
Right.
He's going to put him in power
Right.
to make government act. So I'm just waiting for the resistance and people to wake up.
Yeah, man.
But
yeah.
I'm sorry, and just
No,
but if this is what America wants, because last I checked, he won the popular vote.
Yeah.
So if this is what America wants, unfortunately, I got to be along for the ride. But
Yeah. Yeah. If we try to look at this from different angles and kind of take a bird's eye view, like what do you say to people who kind of, don't really participate in politics, or who feel like, well, we're in an individualistic nation and my focus should just be on the survival for my family and I.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, so how does that, what's your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts on that, it depends if that person is not participating at all.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody has their own ways and means of surviving, what they got to do to get through the day. If that person is not participating, as far as saying like, they don't do this for the black people, or they don't, when you say participating, you're saying they're not engaging in that aspect, criticizing administrations or potential administration.
Right, because they don't see it as relevant. They feel like their ability to survive might be with what they have available, in terms of like, I go to my job, which, I mean, obviously jobs are impacted by
Yeah, which
right?
they are, yeah.
Right. So, because I think, and I'll be honest, I think I was kind of someone like that too, where I was thinking like, dang. And I mean, and not that I'd want to put this information out there, but I'll be honest. I think years ago, I kind of had that viewpoint of, whether I'm under a Democrat or a Republican, I can be homeless. So what can I do?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, what can I do in my power to make sure my family's good? But it is highly individualistic of me to think of that. And I wonder how that correlates to, having the identity of a first generation African who doesn't feel like he might be part of a community. So you're kind of, how do you advocate? Like, what do you? So I think there's a greater conversation that I definitely want to explore in future episodes. But nowadays I'm definitely waking up, and I'm more in tune, because I'm seeing how harmful these things are, and just in terms of your average person.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. Sometimes you'll see people suffer no matter what's going on, just because of lack of economic opportunity. So then, where do you put your maximum effort to help the world versus yourself? It just gets so complicated for me, man. So
for me, I'll cover two of those things, because it's a very in-depth conversation.
Yeah.
But for me, for example, as far as, let's just say as simply as voting, the first time I was able to vote was Obama's first term.
Yeah.
But I didn't vote the first time Trump went against Hillary. I think I was on unemployment, but it also wasn't a big priority for me to do absentee and stuff. I was just like, I was younger too, so it's like, it's not going to change anything. It's going to be what it's going to be.
Right.
As I've grown older, and I would say the people of our era were gifted and we're cursed at the same time, where we have these events that show that, Biden won by slim margins, beat Trump in like Georgia and some of these precincts where it was down to like thousands of votes. So there's proof that every single vote counts. It can make a difference.
Right.
But then we also see the effects of when you have a bad administration during like a pandemic, or you have what's going on now, DEI, people that work in the government. It's only been 10 or 11 days of his administration, and they have a direct effect felt from his administration.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So that's why I say we're gifted and we're cursed, because we have these events that we don't have to read in the history book. We can just look out the window or looking and follow what's going on, or talk to your sister, talk to your mother who works in the government right now. So that should be proof in itself that it might matter who's running the country. And then finally, I used to, a lot of people say, okay, what are they going to do for us anyways? Like, or what are they going to do for the black people and stuff like that? It's like, when you give up your right to vote, right? When the posters and the people running these campaigns look at these voting blocks or the groups, that just makes us less important on a totem pole. So in a way, you can think about it like it really don't matter who you vote for. If you're voting, that means whoever's future running has to account for this amount of percentage of voters from this demographic.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's like you kind of throw away the people always say, like, do they care about black people? That's one way you can make them care about underprivileged groups is by getting out the vote. So then your number is a bigger percentage that they got to account for in order to get into the presidency.
Right. I guess it becomes tasking on people who, I think they have to see it from that perspective, because I think some of us might still, I hear the response when it's kind of like, well, hey, I voted. I've voted 4 times and nothing has changed for me on an individual level. And it's like, dang, how do you kind of bring change to that individual who wants to participate, but the system seems like it'll always be rigged against them? And I've heard people would say, hey, we'll participate in local elections, right? Like
that as well. Your vote is in a lesser percentage, makes up a bigger percentage to that. But it's like, but to your original question, if somebody doesn't care about any of that at all, I don't, do what they got to do. Right. I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying if people are complaining, there's actions you can take.
Okay, we're good. Sorry, I thought there was a part of the technical difficulty. Continue, please.
Oh no, all I said is, if you don't care about none of that, live your life.
Yeah,
it's all good. I'm not saying nothing about them going, but if you're complaining about it, do something about it. Yeah. At this age, I feel like if you're complaining about the administration, do something about it. Right. And that's just one thing you can do. Obviously, it's so many people, 350 million people in America or something. So of course, you are one out of that, but it does you can make a difference.
Right. And that's a good message, just in general. Like, I'm not a political analyst, I'm obviously not adept to a lot of things, but you definitely should empower yourself and do whatever you can in your life to get what you want, because you got one to live. Mm-hmm. So,
and if you participate and it doesn't turn your way, it's just that's the democracy. Yeah, it's not always going to be what you want to happen, as you can see, but.
Right.
Like I said, majority of America, he won the electoral college and he won the popularity vote. That's what America wants. It is what it is. I have to move accordingly.
Right. Yeah, whereas I'm just like, well, this is the context we live in. And we got some things to explore and some upcoming, because I think there's a lot of layers to a lot of this stuff. But
and just before we get off this and wrap up, we didn't even talk about it, but like the buyout situation is just wild to me. What they call a buyout, and then they're going back and forth on the wording is kind of crazy. Just to start with, the timeline to make a decision is already janky.
Right. How much time did they give you again?
They started from it was like January 26th, or it was January 26th or somewhere around there, and then you have until February 6th or 7th.
That sounds right. That. Yeah.
You don't even have a full 30 days to make a decision like that.
Right.
If I'm in a business deal or anything like that, or somebody's trying to get me to buy something or buy into something, right, and I can't get a full time to think about it, I already know that it's a manipulation tool. Like, you don't want to give a proper time to make a decision. It's just like, it's janky to begin with, and then we're talking about an administration of government, which is not. It's very jarring. It's like, yeah. I think Elon Musk did similar things with Twitter, right? When he
with the stuff
similar to, and it's through an email. You respond back to the email, resign or something. I resign. That's super janky. Then there's discrepancies on if they can give the full the pay. They're saying the government is capped at 25,000,
which is crazy to cap.
Are they going to give you your full 8 months of salary? Right. Then they're saying you might still have to work, but just not have the go in office. So with that's not a buyout, but now they're saying it is about you don't have to work. You can work 2 jobs. Right. I mean, sorry, you can work another job while you're on this buyout status. Right. It's just extremely janky, and I would not trust the administration. If you are in the government and you're trying to finish your career in the government, right. I really don't know if they would. If this administration continue, I feel like they would prevent you from trying to get back. Even though I think they said you have to at least stay out for 5 years. Right. But we don't know if they. When has Trump not gone back on his word or gone back on his word on saying or of anything? Like, when has he been stand on anything and kept the same stance? Right. And then turn around and act like he never changed his stance and lie right to your face with a straight face. Right. Well,
what I would leave people with, I mean, and it's a little off topic but kind of related. I think the way I cope with the amount of ignorance I have just on so many things is like, well, I need to get my financial planning in order, just in terms of determining what kind of lifestyle makes sense in these times, because things are very turbulent. And you can have a lot of control over, whether that be analyzing how much am I spending on what can I really afford, what are my responsibilities. So there's certain things you might need to forego just to make sure you can still maintain a good quality of life. I think for me, that's been my utmost. That's been my highest goal, because on an individual level, I don't want to owe anybody. I don't want to have to ask anybody for anything. But then on another level, I don't want to feel like I was trying to influence change to make our society better. And that I was impacted by it. And I think a good protection against everything going on is to make sure your health is good and your wealth is good.
Absolutely. That's a great way to close out. Make sure your health is good and your wealth is good.